7 essential expenses to launch your business without going broke. Thank you for joining me on episode 3. We're going through this step by step to see what do we need to do to start our own company. Should you leave your day job? We covered that in episode 2. Today, what is it going to actually cost us? We've all heard the stories of billion-dollar companies starting in a garage with nothing but a laptop. But is it actually possible to start from $0 in 2026? I'm pulling back the curtains on my own expenses. I'm building this journey from scratch, powered by trustedcreators.org. And I'm showing you exactly where the money goes when you're building the professional foundations for your own business. This can vary, but we're going to look at it today in 7 points, and I'll give you some pointers.
Working for yourself, I know you love it. Working for yourself, cause I love it too. Working for yourself, Zulf talks about it, making it easy for you. Working for yourself, go be your own boss. Working for yourself, Zulf will help you along. Working for yourself, powered by trusted creators, Zulftalks.com.
So can you really start a company with $0? The short answer is yes, but the honest answer, it depends what you're doing, how you're building it. So remember, we want to be as smart as possible, and we want to make sure that every dollar we're spending or pound, we're building to be smart, we're building for the future. This journey is powered by my business, trustedcreators.org. If you want to see the specific budget breakdown I'm using for this season, head over to zulftalks.com for a full resource list. Every episode of my podcast has like a breakdown, but I give you a detailed version so you can take your time when you're back away from what you're doing right now, because you're most likely listening to this while you're doing something. So the summary of this episode, we've got 7 points. We're going to look at where the costing goes. It's very easy going online, DirectGov, set up your company, pay the fee. 1, you got your digital infrastructure. Most companies now need this. I'm going to explain what I mean by that. There's legal and admin minimum costs. There's tools that you will definitely need to make your journey easier. Some legal observations you'll need to make. You got production versus perfection. You've got potential gear. You've got the safety buffer. There's going to be loads of elements you want to think about. But you know what? Let me cover them today. Give you rough figures on what you can think about depending on your business. But the main myth is you can't avoid when starting a company. You're going to have to pay a specific fee to set up the company online. Depending on your country, there's like a fee to set up online. But that's not the last cost you pay. You actually have to pay a little bit more because it's expenses relating to every year you've got to put out accounts. Every year you've got to tell the government what have you done, how much have you spent. You can do bookkeeping. You can do some of the stuff yourself. You're going to have to get an accountant. You're looking at easy 2,000-3,000 for an accountant each year for like the bare essentials done properly. You can get packages out there, but if you have a company, you have to file accounts for the company as well as for the director, like individuals. So remember, I broke these down in my other seasons. So if you jump onto zulftalks.com and look at show resources, you've got like old resources where I go into detail. But let me give you an overview. You've got your company set up. You're going to pay a fee. You're going to have set up your company wages. You're going to have to set up some type of way of paying people in the company, even if it's just yourself, because as a director, you're going to pay yourself a wage. That's like an expense. So you're going to have to make sure you've got enough money to be able to pay yourself a wage, because you don't want to be paying negative equity if you haven't got money you've built profit from. You're going to have the infrastructure. You're going to have like basic stuff. Let's think about what you're doing. Let's say you're making a new shop. You want to start selling stuff online. You can get away with just a website with a dashboard in the background which gives you reports. The website's going to have a cost. You're going to have selling fees. If so, you sell something on your website, you're going to have like a credit card fee or fees you pay for maintaining the website. It might be like a package. Consider that. You might want to go onto other social media platforms which are free, but you might want to do adverts. That could be a digital infrastructure cost. There's some non-negotiables, like you can have your domain name. Ideally, you want a domain name. You want your own email, you want professional email, that costs money. Then slowly thinking about that, the legal requirements, what kind of field are you in? Is it regulated? Do you need to have certain type of insurance? If you're online only, are you giving any advice? Do you need to consider buying insurance for influencers? Do you need physical insurance? Like, are you going to be out and about doing stuff? Public liability. There's loads of things you need to think about there. And then you've got the associated costs in terms of tools. Do you need to have subscriptions for software? Are you going to be using any QuickBooks? Are you going to be using like online tools to manage your payments and your receipts and all that stuff? So already we've got, fees there. We've got a couple of grand for the accountants. So you'd say 3,000 for your accountants. Let's say for a website, like a half decent one, you're paying, if you're setting it up yourself, it'd be cheaper, but you're probably paying £300 to £400 for the setup. If you're buying a package, maybe £150 a month. There's another £1,000, £1,200 a year. So already at £4,000 without thinking. Then you've got your fees. If you sell online, how frequently are you going to sell online? How many are your fees for, like, if you've got a shop online, you need to consider that. You might have some subscriptions for payroll. You might have to pay your accountant additional money to do bookkeeping. So already there, the fee from 3,000 accountant may go higher because you've got more people working for you, or there might be pensions and things like that. There's another cost thinking about pensions that needs to be set up. You have to have the pension software, subscription, you pay a monthly fee, etc. The time saving tools, another £40, £50 a month for if you're using a online tool for receipts and QuickBooks, like that kind of stuff. They're expensive these days. Are you using software in your company? Do you need to buy laptops? Production and perfection, you need gear. Are you going to be online? There's a safety buffer there, miscellaneous like broadband, mobile phone bills, all that stuff. If you're setting it up in the company name, should the company pay for it? Have you got enough plans for that? What you would do ideally is, there's a common way of doing this which I think works quite well. So the essential expenses, think about this. You sit down, what are you doing? Okay, I look at my phone. Okay, is that my personal phone? Yes. Do I need to have a company phone? Does that need to be a different number if someone needs to call me? Which means I need to take out another plan. There's another cost associated with that. Do I need a separate company phone? There's a cost there. Then I've gone to the laptop. Am I using my personal laptop? Do I have a company laptop? Should my company own its own laptop? Do I need a camera? Do I need broadband in the company's name? Do I have an office? Am I working from home? How many of some of these things you could probably, be smart with, but if you can, the accountants can give you information about basic stuff, but you might need a financial advisor to say, you know what, this is how you should be laying stuff out. Do you need more than one company set up? If you're making enough money, should you have a company set up for the profits and then a company hiring out the staff? Like, there's different methods of setting things up. So there's reality check around costs and what it can cost you. A typical standard 2-3 person company, you could easily spend £40,000-50,000 like getting everything essentially in place and paying the lowest salary possible. But then depending on your country, minimum wages, you can probably £100,000 with all the expenses going out. Like if you have to buy products, if you have to buy goods and services, which then you're selling, it all depends on the field. So there's listable options there that you need to consider there really carefully. But I feel like there's more detail here. You've got your personal versus business money. You need to consider where you want to keep it. You need to set up a business bank account. You've got a minimum monthly survival number, which is very important. Think about, okay, how much do I need for this month to continue doing what I'm doing? Okay, so let's think about this as a real life figure. I need to pay my broadband bill. That's £40 a month, example. I'm using rough figures here. I got my mobile phone. That's another £30. I need those two things to continue doing what I'm doing. I need to pay my insurance. I need to pay a salary. I need to pay my accountant. So there's already things there you've got on the list. And then if you look through, you'll see other items that you're not thinking about, regular payments that you pay for your software. Do I need to have that? You have to think about your gross versus your net. Simple explanations around like how much I've made. Once my fees are taken out, how much do I actually make? And then why the revenue is like a lie, is like revenue. Okay, I'm doing it £1 million a month. But then you don't take into account that you actually buy stuff which is £900,000, and then you have fees associated with that, which is another £50,000. So you're actually only making £50,000 after all the expenses are taken out. So you have to have your buffer mindset. You have to be smart. You have to make sure you know what you need to continue and have that ideally for 6-7 months, a year. In my case, I've got 7 years worth of money sitting there that could easily cover the expense for the company for 7-8 years. But that's just making sure that you've got the financial security, which then frees you up to be able to do other things. If you're always on the wire and you're barely covering bills, you're in a different position. You have to think really differently about that. Whereas if you've got a buffer in place, then your financial situations have gone. You know that money's covered. If you do X, Y, Z this year, you'll make this much amount of money. You've already expensed what you need to expense out for like costing that. There'll be mistakes you make. You might set up things wrong. You might find the accountant you've got is not very good. I did a whole episode about finding the right accountant. That helps you a lot. I got a fancy accountant who had lots of YouTube videos, and they were really giving it the large, like the amazing. But when you go and find out who you actually get, they palm you off to a team member who's like probably like an intern or someone who hasn't got the same level of skills. So then it's like there's misleading stuff out there. They'll give you all the fancy YouTube videos and, oh yeah, we do this. But when you speak to them, they're like, actually, no, we do the basic cost for this. You're going to have to pay us X, Y, Z for all the extra added benefits. So unless you've done this, you won't know this. So you need to consider who you've got, who the accountant is. I had to change accountants. I got another accountant now, and that accountant isn't excellent at all. I have to chase the accountants. So it's good to be able to do as much as you can, so you're on top of this, because a lot of the times these days, the accountants are very lazy. That's the word, lazy. They're not going to do anything unless they need to do it. They'll approach everything right at the deadline, and then they'll be busy at the deadline. So it's like they don't manage their time very well. So you need to be on top of this. You need to be the person in charge, so you can consider what you need to get done. Have the deadlines in your calendar. Don't leave it up to your accountants or the admin people. They're quite useless these days. I've gone through a number of accountants and I've figured out that, you know what, the half of these guys are just basic admin paper pushers. They don't have much clue about anything really. I've yet to get a good accountant who's given me advice that's been like half decent, that hasn't been available on YouTube or the internet. So it's very careful with these days. Anybody can call themselves an accountant. It's an unregulated field. So it's like one of those. I did a full episode about this, by the way, so I'm not going to want to rant about it further. But it's how much money you really need to start. And also the bit about it is finding the right key people that can get you to your next step in progression. A financial advisor is going to be a lot better than an accountant. So you want to keep that in mind, as well as also the main things here are, what kind of company should you even set up if you're working for yourself? Sole trader, limited company, structure clarity, what's going on? There's loads of options out there. Which is cheaper? Which is better? Which is better if you're making lots of money? Which is better if you're not making as much money? Don't worry about it, because in the next episode 4, I'm going to be speaking about the different options of setting up and kind of give you a few ideas around this. And I think you'll find that interesting, because on this journey, there's loads of different ways of doing stuff. And you won't know until you do it, or you've gone through the journey and then you can help explain. That's basically what I'm doing. I'm not giving advice. I'm just saying, this is what I did. This is how I did it. This is what I found out along the way. And I feel like it's important information that you can maybe use in some way. Again, all of this stuff is available on the zulftalks.com website. Show resources. I'll give you like a full breakdown of these episodes with some notes and like stuff you can see. So next episode, sole trader or limited company, or is there another way? I'll see you on the next episode. What's one question you're stuck on right now? Contact me on zulftalks.com. You can drop me a message on Insta or email me there. It would be really good if you can leave a review wherever you're listening to this. The show resources are available at zulftalks.com.